RJ Connell of rjconnell.ca. And if this is your first time catching one of my live broadcasts, then I want to welcome you. I am an income strategist, and what that means is I help millennials specifically use their skills to start a business where they can take control of their income and create the life that they want to live. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys today about something that I call survival mode mentality. But before I jump into it, I want to go ahead and invite you to share this broadcast. Tag somebody in this broadcast who has ever thought about starting a business, or somebody who even talked to about these things, because this is really going to help. The things that we're going to cover today are really going to help you understand what's holding you back and kind of why it's been hard for you to take those first steps. So go ahead and share this broadcast or tag somebody in it, and let's get started. So if you're here today, you've likely thought about starting a business of some sort. And sometimes when I use the word business, it can kind of throw some people off because you're thinking of either a brick and mortar business, or you're thinking about having employees or being a CEO. So if that kind of throws you off, just think about it in this way. You want to create some extra income for yourself, but you want to do it in a way that you can control it. So you can decide where to fit it in and how often you want to work and how much extra you want to make, things like that. So you want control over your income. That's pretty much what it is. So if you're here today, that's probably something you've thought about at some point in time. Or maybe your 9-to-5 isn't cutting it for you. It's either not enough money, or it doesn't give you control of your time in the way that you want, or maybe it's just not something you're passionate about, right? A lot of us have gone to school and have paid thousands of dollars to get a degree, and we've spent thousands of hours getting a degree and studying and learn and just pass our tests and exams, and then we graduate and we don't use that degree. A lot of us are working at jobs that we could have gotten without the degree. Which can sometimes, be discouraging and even annoying because of all the time, the effort that we put into finishing our education. So if any of these things apply to you and you want to actually be able to, this is something you thought about, but you're struggling with moving forward, you're struggling with taking those first steps, then really make sure you have a pen and a paper, because I want you to take notes on the things that we're going to talk about today. So the first thing I want to point out is that our parents' generation is different than our generation. When our parents came to the country, whatever country you're living in, and this is specifically for those of us whose parents are immigrants to the country, when they arrived, what they were thinking about is surviving, right? They didn't really have a chance and an opportunity to thrive. That wasn't a luxury that they could afford at the time. So they just wanted to make sure that they got a job and were able to take care of their families and provide food and the job that they took. So that's often our parents' case and what they've had to deal with in the past. However, our parents have done an amazing job of providing for us so that we can now embrace opportunities that we have to thrive and not just survive, right? So when our parents are working, if you think about it, a lot of our parents are likely have been working at the same job for like 10 plus years, 10, 20, 30 years with the same company. And that's because taking a risk wasn't part of their culture. That wasn't something that they knew. And it didn't make sense for their circumstance either, right? So they came, they got a job, they work, they take their 2 to 3 weeks vacation, and then they retire at 65. That's what they're used to. It's what makes sense for them, and it's what they're comfortable with. But it's not necessarily what we need to do anymore. But a lot of us have inherited a survival mode mentality, right? A lot of us, even though it doesn't make sense for our circumstance, we still feel like, okay, well, we need to get the first job that can pay for our bills, and we stay there. We don't bother applying for something else that we could be passionate about, or even creating something else that we would be passionate about, because we still have that survival mode mentality that our parents had. And it doesn't make sense for our circumstance because we have so much more opportunity available to us than they did. And we're also in a better position than they were. Right? And so we have more jobs available to us and just more opportunities in general. So that being said, we can afford to take risks, right? We can afford to decide to start something new. And I'm not saying quit your 9-to-5 job and become an entrepreneur. Definitely not what I'm saying. That's not a wise decision. But what I'm saying is we can afford to build something on the side while we work at our 9-to-5. But so many of us don't even do that, right? Because we're scared of failing. We're scared of taking the risks that's going to come with that. And let me be frank, entrepreneurship is a risk. It is a risk in itself, a huge one, because there's a chance it's not going to work out, right? There's a chance that it's going to fail. In fact, statistics show that 20% of all small businesses fail in the first year, and 50 up to 80% of all small businesses fail within the first 5 years. That's a lot of failing. But the one thing that all of those businesses have in common is that they gave up. At the end of the day, they all quit. Because if you don't quit, you cannot fail. You inherently will succeed if you never quit, if you never give up. Yes, it might take you long, but at the same time, it's worth it because you're going to build something that's going to last a lifetime. So what it comes down to is resiliency. And resilience is your ability to recover. It's your ability to bounce back. But in order to develop resiliency, you need to understand and expect to fail. You need to expect to be stretched, and you need to expect to be uncomfortable. If you are failure is a part of the journey, but we can prepare for it so that we are more resilient when the time comes around. So those are the tips that I want to leave you with today. These are the tips that I want to leave you with today. I have 3 of them for you. And the first one is fail fast. That means take those first steps, get it out of the way. Because the worst thing I think about failure is the embarrassment that we feel. But oftentimes it's only us that's feeling the embarrassment. Nobody actually cares that you tried something and that it didn't work out. Nobody cares that you are, starting a side hustle while you're working at your 9 to 5 to try to create a better life for yourself. Nobody cares that you maybe are working at a 2 or 2 part-time jobs. That's fine. That's part of life. Nobody is thinking down on you for doing those things. But often that embarrassment and maybe that shame is in our minds. So I want you to take those first steps and get that failure out of the way. That way you're not as scared to fail as you continue to move forward. And accept that failure is part of the journey. Failure is a part of life in general. So whether or not, you pursue entrepreneurship, you can't avoid failure in life in general. And most of us have already had experiences failing at something. But I want to encourage you and remind you that failure is an event. It is not a person. Just because you failed at something does not make you a failure. All right, guys, that's the first thing. Second thing is stop avoiding risks. Embrace them. In order to win, you need to risk failing. And the analogy I want to give you is if you think about someone who's running a race, even if they are the most qualified person, even if they are the best athlete on that racetrack, there is still a chance that they are going to lose. There is still a chance that they won't come in first place. But in order to actually see what the end result is going to be, and in order to actually get that first place prize, they have to risk second place. They have to risk third place and last place, right? So you cannot win without risking losing. It's just a part of the process. And so when we're trying to avoid risks, and also when we're trying to avoid failure, we're pretty much avoiding almost every good thing in life, because playing it safe is not going to build you wealth. Playing it safe is not going to make you rich. It's not going to give you the dream life that you want, right? It's not a part of it. That's not the way it works. You have to be willing to take some risks in order to create the life you want and to have that freedom that you want to experience. So that was the second thing. The third thing that I want to give you is begin to shift your focus. A lot of the times, and way too often, we focus on all the things that we can't do instead of all the things that we can do. And so before we've even taken that first step, we've ran through in our minds the situations and all the reasons why it's going to fail. And that's stopped us from moving forward at all. So we've already failed in our mind before we've even taken that first step in real life. And then what happens is that gets you into a pattern of stagnancy. It gets you into a pattern of standing still because you never actually build up the courage to move forward, because all you're focusing on is all the reasons why it's not going to work, all the reasons why you shouldn't, and all the reasons why you feel that you can't. So in order to do that, you need to shift your focus so that you can start focusing on the things and the reasons why you can, why it will succeed, why you should pursue this, right? Think about the long-term gain rather than the short-term success. Because in the short term, it's likely going to be failure, but in the long term, it can lead to success if you stick with it. So those are the 3 points that I had for you guys today. And I want to recap them again. Point number 1, tip number 1 was fail fast. Get it out of the way and accept that failure is a part of the journey and it's a part of life. Tip number 2 was stop avoiding risks. embrace them. In order to risk winning, in order to win at something, you need to risk losing. And the third thing was shift your focus. Start to focus on all the reasons why you can instead of all the reasons why you can't. So those are the tips that I have for you guys today. And if any of these things resonate with you, if any of these things kind of touch you where you are and like they make sense for kind of where you want to be in life and they're hitting home for you, then I want you to head over to rjconnell.ca and just enter in your email address and let's stay connected. I have some tools that will really help you guys push past all of the things that are holding you back, especially your mindset, and really get you in a position where you're able to take those first steps towards creating that extra income for yourself and to creating the life that you want to live and the life that you want to be able to pass on to your kids. So head over to rjconnell.ca and just enter in your email address and let's stay connected. All right, guys, I'm going to be back here Thursday morning sharing with you some more tips. I want you to head back to the beginning of this video and rewatch it so that you can understand what that survival mode mentality is and where it comes from as well. Remember to take notes and share this broadcast with somebody so that they can also get these tools and tips to help them as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to live out my dreams by helping you accomplish yours. I will see you guys Thursday morning and have an amazing day. Bye, guys.